Oh my gosh, it finally worked. Okay, I'm so sorry for the long pause on that. I couldn't figure out how to go live on YouTube. So, welcome. It's been a while since I've been on here, so I'm getting back in the swing of things. And this is a new computer. So, again, I'm sorry about being a little late, but I'm excited to be live right now. As you know, I was supposed to do this, I think, a couple weeks ago, and I thought it was a good idea to go live the week of my wedding, which really was not a good idea. I was having problems with my internet, and it was really just stressing me out. So here we are now, and like I said, it's a new computer. I'm still trying to figure out where to even look into the camera. But I wanted to go live because I feel like it's more of a raw, organic experience where we can talk about microblading business in general and then go over a few things that I really wanted to touch base on and aspects of business that I find to be really, really important in just having a successful business. Okay, so like I said, I'm still learning how to use this. Okay. Okay. So, one of the things that I wanted to go over is boundaries. I think boundaries are super important when you first start a microblading or any business in general, are boundaries. So, a little background on how I first started. I actually, let's see, I think I've been an esthetician now for 10 years. And I worked at European Wax Center out here in St. Louis, Missouri. And then I moved back to LA, which is where I'm from, and was working at this high-end wax boutique in Beverly Hills. And I liked what I did, but I didn't fully love it. So when I first discovered what microblading was, I was so intrigued by it. I was so passionate about it, which I think passion is probably one of the most important aspects in building a successful business. Because if you like what you do, you're going to want to spend more time and invest money and time into it. So when I first started, I really had to kind of teach myself. Most of you who have followed me already know that I didn't have the best training experience in the beginning. So I was working out of my home, actually kind of a room like this. I lived in my great grandmother's old home in LA, and I had a office space kind of like this in my house. So my mom helped me make it totally professional. We had a sink in there so that it was legit and passed health code standards. But I was working out of my house because I didn't know, how far I was going to take this, but I really was just kind of jumping in. So when I first started, I really didn't set any boundaries for myself. I was willing to take any clients at any time. I didn't have a set schedule. The only couple things I did was create an Instagram, and let's see, what is the other one? A Yelp page. And then I just started seeing people out of my house. As I started to get more successful and have more people come and see me, I started to realize I needed to create some policies. So I think the number one important thing is when you're starting your business, getting policies in the beginning, setting up your policies in the beginning. So one of those I would say is creating your hours of operation. Okay. So for me, I always thought like, oh, I love what I do. I can see so many people, a day. And in my mind, I thought I could have an 8-hour day. But I realized very quickly that an 8-hour workday didn't work for me. By the third client, I was really tired. My back started hurting, my neck would hurt, my hands would hurt. And I just felt like I wasn't able to give my all to that third client. So I realized that for me, best hours of operation were working 5 to 6 days a week and having a 6-hour workday. That took probably about a year to figure that out. But now, when I see my clients, I'm happy, I'm energized, my body isn't aching, and I feel like I can deliver a service that is worth the money that they're paying for it. So that would be one, creating hours of operation. The next one I would say is a clear cancellation policy. So in the beginning, a lot of times you'll mimic other businesses, which is what I did. So I saw that a lot of people were requiring deposits. And I think this is really important when setting up those boundaries for your business. I see other businesses who have a lot of last minute cancellations, or clients who just don't really respect their hours of operation or any of their policies, because there's no what's the word I'm looking for? There's no consequence. There we go. There's no consequence for a missed appointment. And I feel like when there's consequence when it comes to money, people are going to show up to that appointment. Obviously, emergencies happen, things happen, we're all human, but having a clear policy, like for my policy, I have a 48-hour cancellation policy. And this is clear. It's on my Instagram. It's all over my website. When my clients book, they have to click a little box that says, I agree to this cancellation policy. And then they put their credit card info in as they book their appointment. So that if they miss or if they cancel within that 48-hour cancellation, that 48-hour cancellation window, they will be charged 50% of their service. Now, I don't want to take money from someone. I am not in the business of stealing. I really just want to, like I said, create these boundaries so that people respect my time. And, if I'm showing up for a 2 to 3 hour service for my client, I expect them to show up too. And when I say show up, I want them to show up on time. Because if they're 20 minutes late, now it sets my whole schedule back 20 minutes, maybe even longer. So being on time and letting your client know that up front is really important. So for example, if I had a client show up and they were 20 minutes late, or actually, let me backtrack. In my paperwork, so I send my clients a consent form, and it asks them, it goes over the medical, it's like a medical history form. It also goes over what they can expect from microblading, how to prep for the service, and the aftercare, all of that. And this is a form that I go over before they show up. So if they weren't a candidate for microblading, so let's say they have rosacea or dermatitis, or maybe they're pregnant, and I go over this consent form, I want to let my client know before that 48-hour window so that we can cancel their appointment. It also, in that consent form, says, hey, if you are more than 10 minutes late, this will be considered a no-show. And a no-show is charged 50% of that fee. So let's say you charge $500 for your eyebrows, then that client would be responsible for $250 if they don't show up, or if they are really late, or if they do a last minute cancellation. So these boundaries are so important. I know you think you're being nice by saying to your client, oh yeah, don't worry about it. But I promise you, if there isn't a clear-cut boundary or a policy, your clients will take advantage of it. They will, because there is no consequence to them not respecting your time. And the best way to be efficient with your money or with your time is by booking smart. So I know for me personally, and this is just what I can handle, I can only see 2 new clients a day. That is just physically what my body can handle. So I would book 2 new clients. I already told you earlier that you've got to figure out how many hours a day you can work. Now, for me, that's 6 hours. So I'm really big on what I like to call smart booking. Smart booking is taking all of the hours you have and filling up every single hour. No one wants to work and let's say they get in at 10 and then have like a 2-hour break in the middle and then go back to work. Like no one really wants to do that. When I go to work, I want to be working the whole time, maybe taking a little break for some food, but I want to work the whole time so that I'm making the most out of my hours. So to me, that's called smart booking. I'm going to give you an example. So for those of you who are already microblading and maybe you're having trouble filling up your book, I would recommend going down to maybe 4 days a week and filling up those 4 days. Because if you are going to say that your hours of operation is Monday through Sunday and you're not filling up all that time, you're wasting time and money going to work, setting up, showing up and only seeing one client, patient, whatever you want to call it. So maybe decrease the amount of days that you work. So maybe only work 4 days or 3 days a week in the very beginning. And those 3 days, stack your clients. So maybe you have 2 clients back to back. With that, I'd also like to say smart booking. I'm really big on this. I actually have a new employee and I was teaching her that you don't want to, hold on, let me backtrack. Okay. So when I have my clients come in, I do their initial appointment and then I book what I call a follow-up or a touch-up appointment. Now I include that follow-up into my price. So it is a complimentary follow-up. But with a complimentary follow-up, there are rules or guidelines, policies, boundaries, whatever you want to call them. And these are clear. So communicating with your client is really important. When my client comes in, I let them know the appointment is going to take 2.5 to 3 hours and that they have a complimentary follow-up in 8 to 12 weeks. So in 8 to 12 weeks, or I book their appointment in 8 to 12 weeks. So they have a month to get their touch-up in. The reason why I book it ahead of time is so that I can be smart with my schedule. I am going to book a follow-up and maybe it takes an hour to do that follow-up. Well, I'm going to book that follow-up where I know I can also squeeze in maybe a new client and maybe an annual color boost because I want to fill up each day so that when I show up to work, I can make the most out of my schedule. The reason why I bring this up is because what I was telling my new employee was that be very clear with your client as far as your policies. So if you do a complimentary follow-up and let's say they want to cancel the week before, or I'm sorry, reschedule the week before, and you have no openings. The only opening you have in your schedule is a 3-hour block. Now, would you want to take that 1-hour block of time and allow that client to go to that 3-hour block of time and now not be able to do anything with that other 2 hours? So what I guess I'm trying to say is if you only have 3 hours in your schedule, are you going to have a client take that 3-hour brick of time so that now you can't book any other clients? I mean, for me, when I'm booking a touch-up, I'm trying to find any block in my day that only has an hour because that's how long it takes me. If I book that follow-up or allow them to reschedule last minute, to the next day when I could be booking a new client, I'm actually at that point paying that person to come in. So maybe I can show you and it will make a little more sense. I actually use for my online booking, I use, can you see this app, and it's called Appointments. It's by Square. I love Square. They are a great credit card processing company. I feel like a lot of people know what Square is, so it's trusted. But also it's so user friendly. So for me, like anytime I have a problem, I can just call them and they're really good. Their customer service is amazing. But they have an online booking app and it's called Appointments. So I really like it for my business. But anyway, so I have my schedule and it's all booked up. And as you can see, I do 6-hour bricks of time. And in that, each day that I can work, I can either fit 2 new appointments, like this day, I think that's Thursday, I have 2 new clients, or I can fit a new client, a touch up, and a yearly color boost. But if I were to have one of my touch ups, let's say my touch up for tomorrow calls me tonight and says, I can't come in tomorrow, I can't find a babysitter or whatever, I am going to try my best to go through my schedule and find a brick of time that is the same as the brick of time that her appointment is. So it's 1 hour. So let's say I needed to move her. The only time in my schedule that I really see is Tuesday because there is an hour brick of time. What I wouldn't do is go to a day that was completely open and book a follow-up instead of a new client. So if that doesn't make sense, please let me know, because this, I think, is one of the biggest factors into creating smart booking, because not only are you training your clients to respect your schedule, but you're also making the most money per shift. So no shows, make sure you have a clear-cut policy on that. And smart booking, making sure that you are filling up your schedule as best as possible. Enforcing the policies is super important. So for me, like I said, I have a consent form, and that consent form is sent to my clients when they book their appointment, and it goes over all my policies, as well as the policies are all on my website. And when they're at their appointment, I review everything. I review aftercare. I review their touch-up appointment, how to, the instructions of how to, apply their aftercare serum. I answer any of their questions. I literally review everything, because this is such a new thing for any client who's never had permanent makeup. They don't know that it's going to be really dark right after, or maybe itchy, a few days after, and that they shouldn't itch it because they can peel pigment out. So you really do want to have good communication with your client. Okay, so funny story. I feel like I have to share this only because I'm talking about setting boundaries and policies for your clients. Now, this happened to someone I know. She had a new client, and I've actually had a lot of people ask me about this. How do you handle clients who are super high maintenance, or I don't know, extra? And I guess my answer would be is I want to find the client that's best for me. I don't want to have a client who their expectations are so not achievable that they're setting their bar too high that no one can reach it. So when I have a client come in, I explain to them, like, hey, what are your expectations? And then I explain to them, this is how I can meet them. But if they come in and they say, oh, I have previous microblading, it's really uneven, it's botched, it's this, it's that, I'm not going to sit there and say, okay, I can do it, because realistically, color corrections or working over botched microblading is not fun. It's really hard. You can't guarantee the results. So instead, you're only kind of setting yourself up for failure. I would rather tell that client, hey, these are your options. You can go get removal, whether it's saline or laser or whatever type of removal you recommend. And maybe you have some artists that who do removal. Oh, she wants to make an appearance. But make your job as easy as possible. Find the perfect client. I had one of my students, she told me that a client came in and she was reviewing, while she was numbing, she was reviewing aftercare. She, made her touch-up appointment. She was doing all the things that you normally do while a client is numbing. And they had about, I think, 10 minutes left of their numbing period. So my student told her client, hey, you have 10 minutes left if you need to go to the bathroom, or, if you just want to get up and wiggle your body because you are going to be laying down for a minute, go ahead and do that. You have 10 minutes left, be back by 1:15. So not only did she tell her how long she had until they had to remove the numbing cream, but she also told her the time. That client disappeared for about 45 minutes. And my student, being a new microblading artist and just the sweetest person alive, she just kept waiting on her. Now, me being a microblading artist who's been doing this for, I think, 5, maybe 6 years, I would not want to work on that client because to me, they just bailed on me and they're not respecting my time. They have wasted 30 minutes of my time. So what my student did is the client finally came back, like I said, 30 minutes after she had told her to come back. And I guess she had gone out to breakfast with her numbing cream on and came back and didn't care that she was 30 minutes late. And my student was like, all right, let's get started. I would have told the girl, I'm sorry, I don't have time to do your brows anymore. I was calling you and I couldn't find you and, you just kind of disappeared, but I have a client in an hour and, now I'm 30 minutes behind. Or maybe I would have done her brows, but I would have told her, if you are even 5 minutes late to your next appointment, I can't see you because I have a strict schedule and it's not fair to make other clients wait. The reason why I tell you this story is because I think it's so important that your clients respect your time. As of right now, I book out usually 2 to 3 months in advance. So clients know that I am busy, my schedule is booked, and that if they have an appointment with me, they're going to show up on time. They are going to request work off or find a babysitter in advance or whatever it takes to make it to that appointment. If there's no consequences, your client is not going to respect your time. So creating boundaries is huge. That's basically what I'm trying to get at is don't fear your clients. Work on a good, fair exchange relationship. You're providing something for them and they're paying you for that service, but they are not the boss of you. This is your business and you need to set the law or lay down the law right away. So that is that. If you guys have any questions on the apps that I use for online booking or for my website, feel free to message me and I can go over those. But I also have a video on YouTube, and that video, let's see, I wonder if I can share it on here. That video is all my favorite apps that I use to run a microblading business. So I will try to share that. Okay, so boundaries, they're huge. Hi, you guys from South Africa. That's so cool. Okay, I think a lot of us worry that we're not going to be good at something. I think I worry about that all the time. And that's really actually an important thing to touch on is that, hold on, Kingsley is acting up. Come here, buddy. Come here. Okay. All right. Hey, be quiet. Kingsley, He is our watchdog. Anyway, so I think when it comes to worrying about if you're going to be good at something or not, I think it's so important to know that we all are worried about being good or not. That is such like a normal fear of not being good enough, fear of going too deep or not deep enough. There's always going to be that fear, but the biggest thing I can tell you is fake it until you make it. So for that, oh yay, cool. So for that, fake it until you make it. For me, what I did was maybe my microblading wasn't perfect, but the way I portrayed my microblading looked perfect. Meaning, take amazing before and after pictures. I have 2 ring lights right now, which is why the lighting is amazing in here. But if you take amazing before and after pictures and they line up perfectly, people are going to see a sense of professionalism. Show the work that you want to show off and show it well. Consistency is big. So on all my photos, I like to put my logo in the bottom right-hand corner, and I like to edit it a certain way so that people know exactly who that picture is from. They know that Boss Brows did that photo. I do have a video on that. There's 2 videos that I would recommend. The best way to fake it until you make it is taking good photos and editing your photos. So there's 2 videos on my YouTube. You can check that out. They're very detailed. Let's see. I was kind of just going over that. So people are asking about doing their first client without their trainer. So the couple of tips I have for that. One would be take your time, okay? I feel like when I try to hurry up or when I'm sitting there thinking negative thoughts, nothing positive is going to come out of it. So take your time. What is that? Is that Mackenzie who asked that? Take your time. When you are doing a new client and you're doing it by yourself, give yourself more than enough time. I always say, like, maybe just schedule 1 new client in the beginning per day so that you're not overwhelmed. You're not worried about finishing at a certain time. The other thing is explain everything to your client. Explain to them the process of healing. That is huge because I think what's most nerve-wracking is when clients blow you up and they're like, oh my gosh, my brows are flaking, or oh my gosh, my brows totally disappeared. Well, that's normal. Scabbing over is normal. When you're brand new, you may not get the best retention. That's normal too. So just telling your client that anything that didn't stay at that first appointment, if they had poor pigment retention, not to worry because they will come back and you will address everything at the touch-up. Okay. So also for a new client, and this is for people who are doing their first microblading client without their trainer's help, I find the biggest thing, people are so worried about depth. It has way more to do about taking your time and holding the skin taut. If you do not hold that skin taut, and if you are not working slowly, so I mean, when I do each stroke, I do 1, 2, 3, maybe 3 to 4 seconds per stroke, but I am holding that skin so tight that my hand is almost shaking. I don't want that skin to move. You're not going to get good retention if the skin is moving. So take your time, work slowly, and hold the skin taut. I can't stress that enough. Hold the skin as tight as possible. You want a 3-point stretch. Another thing, and I actually have a video on this too, hold the skin tight in the direction that you're moving. So if I'm working on the front of the brow, I usually hold the skin like this, that way, because that's the way my needle is going, okay? So hold the skin as tight as possible in the direction that you're moving. A 3-point stretch is the best way. Also, look at your body. What is comfortable? If I'm working on my client, I'm constantly moving their head to get them in the most comfortable position, okay? So take your time, watch your stretch, body position. And then lastly, like, tell yourself what a badass you are. I know I don't get anywhere in life when I'm telling myself, oh, I'm shitty, I suck. Oh my gosh, they probably know that I'm not good. They probably know that I'm brand new. No, like, build yourself up. Make it super easy for yourself. Tell yourself that you're a badass that you are constantly getting better at this and that you're going to crush or slay some brows, okay? How long did it take me to feel comfortable doing my procedure? So this kind of goes back to like my policies and my hours of operation. In the beginning, I would say until I know that I can perform something in a certain amount of time, I usually would just do one new client a day until I was comfortable. Now, I would say that even after years of doing something, I still feel like I could improve, but I feel a lot more confident in what I do. I know that different clients with different skin types are I'm gonna have to work a little differently on them. Thick skin versus thin skin. But yeah, I would say it probably took me a solid year of just working on clients, feeling comfortable with how I talk to them, how I work on them, having them come back for a touch up. Because them coming back for a touch up was probably the scariest thing for me. I had no idea how they were going to heal. I didn't know if they were going to have no pigment retention or great pigment retention. So I would say it took about a year of seeing clients for me to feel confident. Let's see. Thank you. Sorry I've been on forever, you guys. Honestly, I got married a couple weeks ago and it took a lot out of me. It was so much fun and I loved it and I love my husband, but it definitely took away from my business. So thank you for your love and support and thank you for joining me today. I'm trying to answer any questions for you guys. So let's see. So mapping. Okay, Lorraine, I want to answer this because thank you. Because mapping, I feel actually two things. So one, I am going to be coming out with a badass online course for just brow mapping. And I mean like the best course you've ever had. I always tell any of my students, I feel like I could spend a whole week on brow mapping because brow mapping it's like the foundation of microblading. You have to prep your client perfectly before you can even think about working on them. So yeah, brow mapping is difficult. And the best advice I can give you is take your time, explain to them that working with their natural eyebrow shape and their bone structure is going to look the most natural. I think a big mistake that people make is they are trying to make eyebrows symmetrical, which obviously you want your eyebrows to be symmetrical, but I think people are trying to make eyebrows parallel to the floor. And it's kind of hard to show on me without like being able to draw on myself, but your eyebrows should be framing your eyes. So I always say, look at the client's eyes. This is what we should be framing, the eyes. And our eyes are not symmetrical. Our entire body is not symmetrical. I mean, one side of my shoulders are higher, one ear is higher. So, I mean, the most important thing is making sure that the client's brow mapping matches their face. Another thing that I like to say to my students is your pencil better be super sharp when you are brow mapping. I use the Dixon China marker, number 77. It's my favorite, but I have about 3 at least ready to go when a new client comes because I want that pencil to be super sharp. If I don't have super fine lines that are dense when I'm brow mapping, it's just a game changer. How you sharpen your pencil, which I do have a video on that, and how you draw on them. Slow, okay? You again hold the skin tight and just very slowly do the brow mapping. It's not a race. Sometimes slow and steady wins the race, honestly. But yes, anyway, what I was starting to say is that I am going to come out with a brow mapping online course. I'm going to go over men's brow mapping. I'm going to go over the 5-point technique of how to draw an eyebrow, using the caliper, using brow mapping string, the string method, how to brow map for ombre, all of that. It is going to be so dope. I cannot wait. Now that I am officially married, And I only have 2 more weddings to go to this year, but I have more time. I'm hoping that I can launch this early 2022, but it will be a super affordable online course that will go over all of your brow mapping questions. So stay tuned for that. But until then, I do have a ton of brow mapping videos. So check those out. You're welcome. Thank you. So, okay, this is a good question. Starting out, do you charge models? And I actually have a video on this too. When you're first starting out, make it as easy as possible for yourself. When you're charging someone a fee, they expect a certain result. When you're not charging someone, they can't really expect anything from you. So like I said, if you set your, I don't want to say set your bar low, but if you set an attainable goal. So for me, I have goals that I set for myself and I make them attainable because it feels good when you accomplish something. So set an attainable goal and provide a service that you know you can deliver. When you're brand new and you have these models, don't charge them because I know you want to make your money, but if you work on some models for free. So like with my students, I always recommend doing 5 services or 5 models for free, but 10 services, because you will learn more from those 10 services than anything you learned in your class. You will learn how to talk to your client. You will learn how long it takes you to work on a client. You'll learn how to hold the skin tight, how to position your body, what's comfortable, how long it takes you, and just how to talk to them. So at that touch up, when your model comes back, you will see that a lot of work fades and that you still have a lot of learning to do. And if you charge them, you're going to feel bad about them not getting perfect results. So I always recommend doing 5 models for free and including that touch up. And then you have a portfolio, before and after pictures. They will tell their client or their friends and you'll get new clients. You have photos to put on Instagram and your website, all of that. So yeah, do your models for free. So hopefully if you've gotten anything out of this live, it's how to create boundaries for yourself. Okay, so let's see. I think I have a video. I do have a video on how much to charge your clients. It's good to look at what other people are charging their clients. You never want to charge too much. What I recommend in the beginning is setting a price that is good for you. So I think for me, my first price was $300. But after I did my models, I offered a discounted, it was like, I think when I first started, it was around Thanksgiving. So I did a Black Friday special. So what I did is, even though I told all my clients that my price was $300, I said the first 10 people to sign up for or book an appointment with me will get the Black Friday special. And that would be $150. So really, I only charged $150 for my first, I think like 5 clients, maybe it was 10. I can't really remember, but I had them book their appointment. And if I remember correctly, I think I even had them prepay like a deposit for that appointment because it was a discounted rate. But then you get some clients in and it's at a discounted rate, but they believe in their mind that they're getting 50% off because you gave them this like introductory price. We did that for my employee, Caitlin, and she booked her first 5 clients, in a matter of minutes. Her price is $400, but we said the first, I think 5 people, either 5 or 10 people who booked got 50% off. And I kid you not, we booked those appointments so quickly for her that it was like astonishing how quickly we filled up her book. So people do love a discount. I don't really like discount shoppers. That's not the client I'm looking for. I'm looking for a client who is willing to pay whatever for good eyebrows. But when you're first getting started, you do need to build that clientele. So doing an introductory rate is a good idea. But again, do some research, see what other people are charging in your area. For me, I live in St. Louis. I would say I'm more on the higher end of what I charge. But if I were living in LA still, I would probably be charging about $200 more if let's say my brows are $650 to $700, I'd probably be charging $900. That's just because that is the competition, like the going rate out there for, my skill level. People will find the money to pay you. If you are good at something, they will find the money. I promise you that. If I want a new Chanel bag, I will save up for it and I will pay the $6,000. Okay. Like people will find the money. You just have to put yourself out there and be really good at something, and people will come to you. Okay, you guys. So I think the only other thing I wanted to tell you is that boundaries really are so important. I think we get like caught up in how exciting a new business is, and we forget to take time for ourselves. That is something I struggled with in the beginning. I didn't have like a clear cut, days of operation or hours of operation. I didn't have clear policies. And that is so important, creating those boundaries with your clients. I remember on New Year's Eve, this was my first year of business. On New Year's Eve, I was almost an hour late to my New Year's Eve dinner party because I was on the phone with a client who was freaking out about that her eyebrows were scabbing over. Now, I knew I'd already gone over this with her. I knew that she was just freaking out and that was normal. But because I was new, I didn't say to myself, hey, this is not an emergency. Like this client can wait until it's not a holiday to talk to. And I chose my client over myself. So make sure that you set a schedule for yourself and that you allow yourself to have some time off. For me, Sundays is my day off. I don't really look at my phone. Turn your phone off or, put it on silent, do whatever. You need your own time to recoup and, enjoy your life. You don't want to spend your whole time working. So your clients, unless it's like a huge emergency, eyebrows really aren't a huge emergency. The only emergency I can think of is if they have an infection and you need to address that right away. Besides that, scabbing over, an appointment conflict or something like that, they can wait until the next day or when it's not a holiday to talk to them. So just remember that this is your business and you get to run it however you want. If you're fair to your clients and you are showing them the same respect that you want to be shown, they will respect you. So if you aren't on time to work, or if you answer texts at all hours of the night, they will text you at all hours of the night. I definitely have some clients and students now that know that on Sundays, I like to enjoy, hanging out with my family or my friends and not working because we need some time off. So just remember to create those boundaries for yourself. You guys, I'm sorry. This has been a little all over the place. I'm also sorry about the technical difficulties. I guess the problem is I wasn't on Google Chrome. But anyway, I want to do more lives in the future. I also want to start posting more videos. So if you guys have any ideas of things that you're struggling with and you'd like me to make a video on it, whether it be brow mapping or tools or anything like that, please leave a comment. I would love to help you out. If you are looking for, online courses, I have a great one that goes over microblading and everything you need to know for that, and manual shading. So I think that's actually already posted in the description. It's $1,500. It comes with a full kit. And I work with you one-on-one, going over everything you need to know. So that's a great course. But please keep your eye out for the brow mapping course. I just need to start getting into it because I have so many good ideas and I think you guys will love it. But any other questions you have, please feel free to message me on Instagram. I believe my Instagram is also posted in the description. And yeah, just keep doing amazing, talking positively to yourself, telling yourself what a badass you are, and supporting each other. There's nothing worse than haters. So just keep spreading the love and support and slaying brows. And yeah, I am hoping to post one video a month right now. I probably will be going I used to do 2, but I think I'm going to go down to 1 so that I can focus on this brow mapping course that I'd like to launch in January. Anyway, thank you so much. Sorry for rambling. I hope you got something out of this. Videos to check out, the top apps I use for my business. I go over all the apps that I use for the phone I use, the online appointments, my website, all of that, my stats. Also how to do before and after pictures and how to edit them. I check those out. And I think I also have one, because you guys were asking a lot about pricing. I have one on pricing and what to charge your clients. Anything else you don't get from my videos, then just check out the online course. And I look forward to chatting with you guys soon. Thanks so much. Can you guys say bye? Come here. Okay. Say bye. Say bye. Bye, guys.